Hey, Washington, how you guys doing? Commanders play this weekend? Hi, David. Where am I? I'm right here. Can you guys see and hear me okay? Hey, Chariam. Okay, great. Hi, Michael. 9/11. Good to see you. I'm echoing. I shouldn't be echoing. Hang on a second. How about now? Is there still an echo? Hi, Rancher. Hi, Jose. Mark. Hi, Mark. John. Oh, it sounds okay. Okay, yeah, sounds all right. Okay. I'd just like to say. I had 2 sessions open. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, with me, uh, I don't know what's going on. Oh, good. Okay. Hi, Andrew. How you doing? Hi, Mark. Okay, I get it now. There's an echo, Rancher. I get it. Okay, doke. I think in the most succinct way, Rancher summed it up about um, what you need to do to find something in your budget is to look where nobody else is looking. And I think that there are a lot of ways to look. Is that you could be looking at a watch and you say, "Oh, that's not," there's something wrong with that watch, and a lot of times there isn't. There's something wrong with the seller. I've seen so many watches, and I see the price going down, and I take a look at it, and there's something that the seller has done that's just incredibly dumb. They take these crummy pictures. There was this one watch, I think, sold in about 2 minutes after we talked about it, though. There was this watch, I was looking at it, and it looked like it had a big flaw right down the middle. And that was sort of the main watch that the guy had on the for sale page. And so his prices kept going down and down and down. It was a pretty low price. And what it was one of these pictures that the guy took with his cell phone, and he takes a picture of his watch, and this part right here reflected the cell phone, and so it looked like something was wrong. And going through that, the way I realized it was that they had another picture of the same watch at an angle. So I mean, there that's what I mean when I say, when you look at something, and this was Rancher's point, is look where nobody else is looking and look at things in a way that nobody else is looking. Um, you take, for example, there are a lot right now, there are a lot of really nice um, Roger DeBee watches coming out of Asia, and they're at very, very good prices. And I think one of the reasons that they're coming out at good prices is there's simply not that popular there because the smaller dial size is more popular. And so, you go where, these big guys like Ryan and Brian, he's a big guy, big guy watch. they're perfect. On the other hand, um, if I wanted a smaller watch, I'd go where they sell. I mean, most of the buyers are these big guys. From what I understand, the biggest people in the world are the Dutch. I don't know why. What the big sort of the land of monsters is Holland. It was the Netherlands. It just like who knows why. So if you want a good deal on a small watch, that would be the place to go. I I don't know. I was at the University of Leiden in Holland for a term, and with Dutch all seem to be regular size to me, but according to this one thing, they're big guys. Hey, HRM, you can find some incredible deals by buying from you're right, HRM. But it's smart to have a good relationship with your local watchmaker, as the service historically usually isn't included. Man, I tell you, my 85-year-old watchmaker disappeared. Something happened to him. He never came back after the pandemic, so I don't have a local watchmaker. It was that guy was like the pinball player in Tommy. He did things by instinct. He was able to get a watch perfectly timed without a time grapher. I don't know how he did it. He listened to it and abracadabra, and boom, your watch is working perfect. Hi, CT Davis. Sorry I'm late. That's okay. We don't take attendance, but I'm glad you're here. Can you go ahead and just repeat everything you said? Sure, not a problem. Rancher remembers everything. He can do it for you too. Just go off to the side and ask him. He'll tell you. Look for the least sophisticated sellers. Absolutely. In other words, take advantage of the ignorant. There's no two ways about that. Oh, hey, look at this watch. It's not a Rolex, so it can't be worth very much. Come with me. Let's go talk. Who would want an FP Journe? I want a Rolex. Lou Gehrig? I bought a ton of watches that were listed as broke. That just required a basic service. That is a great idea. That's a fantastic idea, HRM. Find something that's busted. And yeah, that's a great idea. I like that. I just bought a Waltham. I decided I had to have a Waltham. I'd read Dominic had given me a book on Waltham. It's really interesting in the history of it. So I got a Waltham, and they said it's working. I've never seen a balance wheel that sort of is like, okay, I'll go. And it sort of goes like this and then back, doing our semi oscillations. But the way it does it, it's like a teenage girl with a bad attitude. It's just like, all right, back. What? What? It's just really funny. I mean, well, it's working, but not so great. Hi, Tony. Vague general search terms on Chrono and eBay. Find and join with a local watch group. Usually some of them have their ear to the ground. Yes. This is, I keep bringing it up that I keep seeing these things at the Oklahoma group. They've got one of the best watch groups. I don't know how they do it. They're spread all over this great big state, and here we are in little Connecticut. We can't. I don't know if there's a watch group at all. I mean, I think maybe it's because we can, well, I'll just go to the Horological Society of New York. You don't have to think about it. Or if you're on Red Bar, you go to a Red Bar meeting. But boy, that one in Oklahoma, those guys that's really something. I don't know how they, it's sort of neat the way they do it. Hi, Rustam. Looking for unpopular watches with unpopular sizes, but great value. Absolutely. That's very important. Now, if it's one to keep, that's one thing. Because I found out watches that are too small don't work for me too well, or too big. But like this one is my Ovale. This is a great big watch. Then but it wears well, and I don't know why, because it's like, I think it's like 30 something here and 50 something this way. That works fine with me. On the other hand, some of these other big watches that I had just didn't work at all, and small ones never did. Hi, Dr. Bob. Okay, boy, I sort of went ahead. Hey, James Gary Hill, how you doing? Oh, Chris Chastilville, Quebec. Listen, my French is terrible. I'm sorry about that, because I really like Quebec. Andrew, big generalization here, but based on my experience and what some friends, you have friends, Andrew? Okay. And others I read, Japanese sellers seem to modestly understate the condition. Yes. Well, not when you say understate, what I find is that they're better than what they say they are. That's my experience. I don't think the Japanese are saying they're better than in fact they are. Like, us is great. Instead, you say, you know, how do you say meh in Japanese? Is that okay, Dr. Bob, back to you. How do I make sure that the watch is stolen so that I can get the cheapest price? I don't know. Some of these guys there was this, who was that guy that went to jail recently? He called himself the timepiece gentleman, I think. He came out of jail, told everybody he's got out of prison, and I'm ready to sell watches. He got all of these watches and all of these people that he ran off with their money, and they wondered, gee, I mean, how could have I made that mistake? eBay and Yahoo auctions. Yeah, that's the other thing too. It's really funny. Sometimes you get things you don't expect. I put in a low ball on an eBay action and ended up with a watch that at first I just thought I got the greatest deal in the world. Then I found out maybe not. Hey, Brian, I bought two watches at separate times from the same seller for a great price because they listed their watches with the wrong information and couldn't sell them. That's great. In other words, that's a person, I tell you, going back to, find out about watches. I really enjoy reading all these things about watches and watchmakers and so forth, not because I'm some kind of research nut, which may be true, but still, it's a lot of fun. What is the best place for buying broken watches? eBay? Well, I don't know. They often seem to have teeny weeny bracelets with no spaces. That's another thing. If you can find a watch, this doesn't always work, but usually it does. Sometimes there'll be somebody selling a watch. They took a bunch of links out of their bracelet. And so, and then they put down at the bottom, oh, this only fits a person with a 5-inch wrist or something like that. You can get a new bracelet, or get a new band. It's easy. Precious metal watches are slower moving. Find a motivated seller. There you go, Damon. That's a great idea. Sometimes you find them when you're not looking. That was how I got this one. I told the guy, it was sort of like, well, if you ever come down to this, not thinking they ever would. And the next day I got a call. Hey, the guy wants to sell it. You know, and that's another thing too. If you ever buy watches on Chrono 24 and you lowball it, they're going to say, "Oh, that price is way too low." He said, "Well, if the guy will take it, he'll take it." He said, "Do you really want to do that?" Of course. Yeah, Michael. Yeah, that's what I do. I got a whole drawer full of. I see a strap on sale from a good outfit, and I'll buy it. Maybe I do it a little too much, but yeah, that's it. That's a good idea. Yeah, the big thing though, precious metals. A lot of times, this is white gold. I didn't know that. Um, Timepiece gentleman. Yeah, he's the guy that went to Who's Gal. Japanese sellers are the best. I've had very good experience with both Chinese and Japanese sellers. Okay. Dr. Bob, look for someone selling 5 identical Pateks and listen for angle grinder sounding in the background when you talk to them. Seen a stolen watch being sold at Katawiki. Serial numbers were scratched out, no papers, no box, no strap. Reported to Kalawiki. They didn't see any issue with it. Yeah, that's another thing too. If you want someone to guard your pet when you're gone, I tell you, some of these, they're not too reliable. Oh, okay. Yeah, Andrew. I wasn't sure that's what you meant, but yeah. Hey, Dr. Bob's. I called TPG baseball cap and Dumbo ears with skin tight pants. What? Jesus. I Dr. Bob, you are in nightmares, right? Got a question for Rustum. Do you usually go for watches sold locally or places like Japan work best for you? I'll try any place. Okay. There was one I almost tried, and retrospectively, I wish I had. This is before Russia invaded the Ukraine. There was this Ukrainian dealer, and he had a really nice buy on a FP Journe um, resonance watch, and so I said, "Okay, I'll get it. I'll buy it." He says, "Okay." He said, "Well, you pay half down, and then I'll send a courier with it." That sounded a little risky, but I thought, "Well, what the heck? Yeah, I'll try it." And the more I talked to him, and I finally said, what I figured was that the guy had a store in Ukraine, and I figured that in New York, they had a store there. They had some kind of situation with one of the places on 47th Street. So I said, "Yeah, let's." I said, where should I meet the courier?" And finally, he said, "Well, it's not exactly a courier. What he's been doing, he's been smuggling watches in with airline stewardesses." I knew that they had done that with, emeralds from South America and all kinds of other things. And I was thinking, yeah, that's probably a good buy. But I finally chickened out on it. And that's why I'm not in jail. Auctions is a good place. Auctions, I tell you, the auction that I'm starting to like the looks of is the one that Bezel has, because they don't charge what they call a premium. Now, I just sold a watch on Philips, and they charge a huge premium, but I was a seller, and so I don't pay the premium. The guy who bought it pays the premium. So to me, in my general rule is sell on an auction, buy elsewhere, buy anywhere else. But what I found, though, you can find some watches you can't find anywhere else at auctions. And the ones that I actually bought there, I ended up with a pretty good deal. Because sometimes if you're bidding against somebody who doesn't know much, then especially on when I say lower end, I mean under 10,000. A lot of times people in that area know certain sets of watches that have that they can expect a certain price from. I don't know. There's an app called Inquiris. You can register your watches and serial numbers that can help in case you're robbed. Hey, that's a good idea. I tell you something else that you can do, Jose, and this is the simplest thing in the world, both for insurance purposes as well as theft. Take a picture of them. Take a picture of the front, the back, and write down if you can get it, find the movement number and write that down. Equus sounds like another place for doing that. It is a good idea. The best buy I got was a bag of junkers in a thrift store. I had a couple of vintage treasures that turn over a decent price after a little cleanup. Yeah, that's I don't know. With my ministrations to a watch, they don't always turn out very well. Sometimes they don't survive the operation. Some folks actually fly to Japan for vacation, buy a watch, and sell it locally to cover the flight. Buy a watch and sell it locally. Wow. That's an interesting trick. Best one was an early 70s Zodiac Seawolf. Cool. I find Japanese prices are too expensive. Some are, some aren't. I find them pretty good deals. It depends on the watch that you're looking at, CT. Found out what Katawiki uses professional sellers based in Turkey to bypass certain European guarantee laws. It's very sketchy. Yeah, that Katawiki site. I've never done anything with it. Their socks squeak, and so. Hey, Jose. Auctions in general, not in Japan. I mean, Sotheby's, etc. Yeah, Sotheby's. Though, I sold a watch on Sotheby's, did great. Sold one on Philips, did great. I bought one. I think it was Sotheby's that I bought it, or Christie's, one of those two. And I got a good buy on it because nobody else wanted it, not because they were any treat. And I paid the 25% premium, and it was still a good deal. So sometimes, yeah, you can do that. I tell you something sort of funny going on. A friend of mine, Fernando, put an offer in on a watch. Now, if I put a low ball on a watch, usually I get a thing back pretty quick. That'll either say, yeah, I need the money, or let it go. I mean, or simply say, "No way." He offered something, this is on Chrono 24, and Chrono 24, they're big on timelines, and they don't if you even talk about a watch with a certain seller, they don't what they're worried about is that you'll find the name of the seller and then go directly to the seller, and then they lose their cut, whatever it is, on Chrono 24. So that's sort of something. But right now, he sent in an offer to him, hasn't heard back, and I'm thinking, what's the guy doing? I mean, if you offer to buy a watch, you either tell him, "Yeah, I'll take it," or "No way." But this guy's not saying anything. I think what he's doing, he's hoping that if he waits to the last second, somehow, he's gonna get a better deal. Uh, or he may lose the deal altogether. He said it's sort of a weird thing. Thomas, I had good prices, buying from Argentina. Really? Huh, that's interesting. On occasions, I found some, worthwhiles at estate sales and swap meets. Man, I tell you, I'd like to find a good one. Isn't there at the same time frame that they have the Watch Time show in New York, isn't there another sort of almost like a swap meet? And then there's another kind of thing where they have a lot of lower price watches for sale? Have any of you ever been to that? I forgot the name of it. I think, Wound and Worn is the one they somehow sponsor it. Old school watch fairs. They're usually cash only, wink, wink. Hmm. That's really funny, that when things are cash only, it's like they must be up to no good. On the other hand, if you use your credit card that you just stole 15 minutes ago, not a problem. Yeah, that does sound really good, Jose. Thomas, where are you getting your icy weather? We had we've had it was supposed to snow this morning, and it did, but it hasn't it's not a it doesn't even require shoveling, it's been so light. Covered the whole driveway, and I think by now it's almost it's gone. And so we don't have a lot of ice and everything. Snow, I don't mind. Ice, I just gives me the heebie-jeebies. How about watch repairman that fixes vintage watches? James, that's probably a very good idea. Finding somebody like that who can, for 2 reasons. One, they may have some, and the other, reason would be you could buy one that's not in great shape and have them fix it up. And so when the price of the watch being low and the price of the watchmaker being decent, that's a good idea. Good idea, James. Yeah. Yeah, here. We've had very, very light snow this year. For last several years, in fact, seem to have had a lot less snow than we used to. Not a problem. Best place to sell international auctions. Worst place to sell Aus Australian auction. Auction. Oh, okay. I get an Australian auction. Yeah, uh Philips, I think, is probably my favorite. I mean, if you have a really good watch, they'll do a very good job for you. When I sold mine recently through Philips, they sent me this book, this incredible full color book, and they had my watch in there, and they did a bang up job. So I'm very, very high on that. And if you're looking for a watch they don't have anywhere else, you can probably find them on Philips, but you do have that premium. Yeah, you know, 9/11, there's another fee that Chrono 24 has that they don't exactly tell you about. In Connecticut, the sales tax is like 6.5%, something like that. And they always charge me 7.5% or more, 7.5, 8%. No, I know compared to VAT, it's nothing. But that's another little uh, piece of you that they get when they sell. Not a great deal, but what the heck. Wind up watch fair. I think that's it, Brian. Yeah. There's it's sort of like whenever I go to the Watch Time show, these other shows I never can make for some reason. There's usually I got someone with me who is not as enthusiastic about watches as I am. Oh, we're gonna go see the kids. All right. Oh, you're in the UK. Yeah. Yeah, you guys have had some there was somebody was talking about a terrible storm they had there. Went and blew everything, really was I mean, it's like Oklahoma. It was really amazing. Yeah, Brian, that's what we've had. We've had a little snow on and off all day long. Hey, Damon, bypassing eBay and Chrono is easy sometimes and almost always cheaper to contact Yelp. That's You have to if you do that, you have to be careful about that, because Chrono 24 is onto it. You're right, though. My local watchmaker is, ex-Piaget and ex-Christian Vanderclaw, watchmaker. He only charges me about 200 bucks for a manual wind movement and can work on anything. Wow! That sounds like a fantastic one. I tell you who is, ex-Piaget, salesman is, Federico from, Del Rey Watches. He I don't know if he's still telling these stories. He used to tell a lot of stories. He and the Urban Gentleman or whatever his name is, they used to have these things, these 2 guys that get together and they'd yak it up, and then they got in some kind of beef, and that was over, and there were a lot of different ones like that things sort of didn't end well for one reason or another. On one of them is simply that, Federico moved down to Florida from New York. Oh, Thomas, well, I hope you're feeling better. What was the cost of selling a watch at an auction? I don't usually the seller, there's sometimes there's a little fee. I think on, um, Bezel, they have a seller's fee, but no buyer's fee. Whereas on, Philips, they have like a 25%. And these are like, $100,000 watches and up, and you add 25% to that. I'll tell you, if you have a watch they really want, um, they had a seller who drove out from New York and met me, and a friend of mine and I met him in New Haven. And from the way things out were, the outcome was, I think they did that drive was well worth it. Yeah, I agree. HRM, you got a great thing going there. Uh-oh, it's time to go. Nah, Kansas and Missouri got way worse. I'll tell you, I lived in the Midwest for a couple of years in sort of suburban Chicago and then a little further south. And one thing I got to say about the Midwest, man, I'll tell you, they got winters there that at least the New England winters I've been in, some of them have been rough, but nothing like the Midwest. The Midwest, man, they get hammered. Around I don't know why. On the other hand, you have places like Buffalo that gets creamed because of a lake effect snow. I think a lot, and that sort of like I, when you have, if you're going to have any kind of climate change, just hope it's for the better because sometimes it can go the other way. Anyway, guys, I got to scoot. Thank you all for coming. You had so many great ideas. Uh, I hope we can all use these ideas and go out and save some money and get a really cool watch. Take care, and if you're in the snow, drive carefully.